show you today are how to sow your runner beans and your French beans. Now, whether you're sowing both of those, if you're sowing maybe just one variety, it doesn't matter. You need to sow them in exactly the same way. Now, the time when you sow your beans is very, very important. You don't want to sow them too early in the greenhouse because they'll start to twisty round each other and they'll be very, very difficult to separate when you need to plant them outside. So I've been trying this for years and years and trying to find the best time to sow them. And I've come to the conclusion that 3 weeks before you're planning on putting them outside is the best time to sow them. Now, beans are tender crops, which means that they don't like frost. So you need to make sure that you don't plant them outside in the ground until all worry of frost has gone in your area. Now, where I live in the southeast of the UK, our last frost date is the end of May. So therefore I sow my beans sort of the start or the end of the first or the start of the second week of May, which is exactly the date that we are now. So they've got 3 weeks in the greenhouse, and in that time they should be about 6 to 9 inches tall by the time I plant them outside, which is a very good size. It makes them very easy to move. They haven't started to sort of twisty round each other. Be careful, because on the packet of your beans it will say that you can sow them from March, but if you do sow them at the beginning of March and you are wanting to plant them outside, it's very, very difficult to untwisty them from each other. I know, because I've done it. If, however, you are planning on growing your beans in a polytunnel, then you won't need to transplant them outside, so you can sow them a bit earlier. Now, runner beans and French beans come in the climbing ones, and they both also come in the dwarf. Now, the climbing beans will need support by some bamboo canes or some form of structure, whereas the dwarf ones won't. They should grow to about 18 inches to 2 foot high, and they're usually quite bushy, so therefore they won't need staking. Now, the ones that I'm going to grow today, I'm only going to grow one variety this year because the garden is still in the process of, I'm filling the beds. It's getting there slowly but surely, but I don't want to have too many seeds and little plants growing and nowhere to put them. So just this year I'm only growing one variety, and the variety I'm growing, they are a dwarf French bean and they're called Vela, and apparently they're a vibrant electric purple. So this will be interesting to see. So these are the varieties, this is the only variety I'm growing this year. So let me show you how I start off my French beans. Now here I have got this is the cardboard innard that was in the Christmas advent calendar. I actually had my potatoes chitting in it, and now all my potatoes are in. I thought I would use it again, and I will plant my beans in here. They're great because they're little cells, and therefore when I need to plant the beans out, then I can just cut the cells into individuals and then just transplant each cell into the soil, and that way I won't disturb the roots. There's 24 spaces here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant 2 seeds per cell. So I'm not going to plant them together, I'm going to plant them at diagonal corners. So I will end up hopefully with about 48 plants. The germination rate for beans is usually quite high, so hopefully I should have about 45 plants out of 46 seeds, which is absolutely perfect. So all I've filled this with is just normal multi-purpose compost. I've just patted it down to make sure that all the cells are nice and firm, and then I'm just going to sow my beans. So let me just show you. These are the French beans. As you can see, they're long and thin, and they're quite small. If you're planting your runner beans, then you'll find that the seeds are a bit bigger. Okay, they're usually roughly the same size, all the French beans, and then the runner beans are slightly bigger, but again they're usually nice and long, the same shape but just slightly bigger. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them on top of the soil so that I know that I've made sure that I haven't missed any, and just pop them at diagonal corners, and this will give the seeds enough space to spread their roots and to grow. Now these are quite deep. They must be about 1.5 inches deep. If you don't have anything like this, then you can sow 2 seeds in a 3-inch pot and put them north and south, or west and east, it's entirely up to you. If you have lots of spare toilet rolls, then again you can sow 2 seeds per half toilet roll. So let me just, I'll finish the rest in a minute, but once you've put the seeds all over the top, all you need to do then is you need to get 2 fingers and you just need to push the seeds down. If the seeds fall on their side, it doesn't matter. I'm putting them level like this because I find that they germinate better. If you want to put them, I would suggest not putting them like that because I tend to find that they don't germinate quite as well, but if you find that that works best for you, then by all means. But usually I put them along like this, and all you need to do is you need to put 1 finger on each seed and just push them down at least 1 inch. So I will go along and I will push all my seeds down, and then once I've pushed them down, then I will just fill the holes in with a little bit more compost. Okay, so there they are. I've put a little bit more compost on the top and just filled in those few holes when I push the beans down. I've put a label in there now, and all I need to do now is to give them a water. Hopefully in about 7 to 10 days they'll start to pop through the soil and they'll start to grow. Now you can put your bean seeds directly, sow them directly outside in the ground if you like. However, I tend to find that the germination rate isn't as good if you do that. If you are going to sow your beans directly outside, make sure that you don't sow them until a week before your last frost date. We have had a very late frost in May before, and it just sort of, it was a bit of a worrying time. We did lose some, but that was several years ago, but it can happen. Don't think that because the days are really lovely and warm, the nights will be fine as well, because you can still get a late frost. Now, if you live in the middle of the UK, I would suggest that you put everything a week back. If, however, you live up in Scotland, I would suggest you put things a week after that back, so 2 weeks back from this, what I suggest. But you know your weather better than I do, where you live. What that is with zones in the States, I'm afraid I really don't know, but the best thing to do is to Google your last frost date for your area, and it will give you exactly what you need to know. I'm afraid I don't know all the ones out in the entire world. I'm afraid. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But that's my beans sown, and hopefully they'll grow beautifully, and we'll be harvesting lots of lovely French beans in the summer. Now, when I do plant them outside, I will show you. I will show you the spacings and everything else. But obviously it depends what variety you get as to how much space you need to leave between the plants. So do check your packet because it'll have more information. Well, I hope you found that interesting, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.